Chapter 19. The Kirafudas. 2 months later. After 2 months of non-stop work between Manuel returning to work from vacation time, Jaden doing side jobs to stay in Boise, and Bunta deciding to stay for another month, the rebuild of the Focus was complete. The engine had been rebuilt, tuned, and tested, and the stock exhaust replaced with one for racing. The Focus was given a body kit, custom hood, and rear spoiler. Manuel and Carbine were finishing up connecting the wires with the computer system and GPS to the computer display in the dash, and installing the racing wheel when Bunta, Charlie, Robbie D, and Jesus came by, each with vinyl stickers for the sides of the car. Manuel noticed their approach when he and Carbine finished and looked up. "What are these?" Manuel asked, looking at the stickers. One of them was a logo for Shifter's Diner, the other was a logo for Bunta's Tofu Shop, one was for the Akina Speedstars, another for the Red Suns, Charlie's logo was for the Last Chance Garage, and Robbie D's was for Throttle Works.
"It's so people know who you're racing for,"
Bunta said.
"Yuya and his father won't be able to ignore your presence now. We're just as big of a part of this as you are. Besides, you need a few small sponsors."
They then applied the stickers to the sides of the car. Shortly after that, Carbine finished up the wiring to the computer screen in the cockpit.
"Well, Manuel, that should do it,"
Carbine said.
"Start it up."
Everyone watched with anticipation as Manuel got out his keys. He inserted them into the ignition and turned the key. The car started, purring as it idled. The instruments beeped as the gauges tested themselves. Then a feminine voice came from the computer console installed in the dash as the Throttle Works logo flashed on the screen.
"Setup complete. Engine check. Okay. Drivetrain check. Okay. Tire pressure check. Okay. System status, nominal. Select mode, normal, delivery, or racing."
Everyone went wild, cheering and applauding each other for the past 2 months of strenuous work. Some, like Carbine, were reduced to tears, thinking it would never be complete. "It lives! Oh!" Vinny exclaimed. Manuel smiled, gripping the steering wheel. They had built the car. Now all they had to do was win the race. The dyno projections say this thing would have a little over 600 horsepower. I hope it's enough. "Well, we better load this thing into the semi," Manuel said. "We've only completed the first step. Now we have to enter the Speedmaster competition."
"I got the info where it's being held,"
Rimfire said, getting up from a shop's computer.
"It's being held in Orchard, Idaho, near the Indian Creek Reservoir. According to this map, it will start at the Boise Stage gas stop, go down the Orchard Access Road to a set of train tracks in Orchard, go on to Range Road, switch to McConnell Road, and then ends at Pleasant Valley Road near Stone Quarry. That entire route has been declared a no speed limit zone. The site says they're accepting entries to the start right now."
"Alright then, people, let's move,"
Stoker said. Indian Creek Reservoir, Orchard, Idaho, 5 hours before the race. Limburger waited as the Speedmaster competition's contestants signed up. Yuya Kirafuda walked up with his father, Kaido Kirafuda, fans screaming wildly as they walked up to the sign-up tent.
"So, you want to be one of our sponsors, eh?"
Kaido said.
"Well, we don't just accept anyone as a sponsor. You have to be able to show you can get things done. I assure you, Mr. Kirafuda, I have everything well in hand,"
Limburger said.
"Ha! That I highly doubt,"
Yuya said, getting out his metal cigarette case. Yuya plucked an expensive cigarette from the case and lit it up with a high-quality Zippo lighter.
"In case you didn't get the memo, we're in this to win. Anything less than first place is unacceptable."
He blew a thick cloud of smoke into Limburger's face.
"Then we will ensure your victory,"
Limburger said, coughing, trying to keep his patience. Always he had to work with the ignorant.
"Well, you had better hope you know what you are getting into,"
Kaido warned.
Just make sure we win tonight.
He then watched his son sign up at the sign-up booth. At that moment, they heard unusually loud chatter outside the tent. The three went out to see what all the commotion was about. A semi-truck had pulled up near the pits. Limburger watched as Charlie Davidson stepped out with Bunta and Takumi Fujiwara. Yuya took another puff on his cigarette.
Well, look who's here, father. Isn't that the pathetic 8-6 tofu driver you beat when you were younger? That must be his son, then.
Kaido scratched his chin. What was Bunta up to? He saw them approach the tent. Bunta saw Kaido and frowned.
Still bitter that I'm the better driver?
Kaido asked.
You were never the better driver!
Takumi snapped, charging forward. Charlie had to literally hold him back.
Takumi, that's enough.
Bunta snapped.
Yeah, respect your elders, tofu boy.
Yuya taunted.
Yuya, shut up!
Kaido snapped, irritated. He then turned back to Bunta.
So, before we were rudely interrupted, what are you doing here, Bunta? Is this going to be a race for revenge?
Something like that.
Bunta said, signing up an entry form.
Then where is your precious 8-6?
Kaido asked.
Is it in the truck?
First off, I'm not using the 8-6. Second, I'm not even going to drive.
Bunta then handed the receptionist a sign-up sheet.
After all, I'm not the only one out for revenge.
Yuya gave Bunta a suspicious look.
What do you mean?
The semi-truck then hissed, the younger driver honking the horn to get everyone's attention. The crowd watched as the back of the tractor-trailer opened, steam pouring out as if someone dropped dry ice in water as a ramp deployed. They then heard an engine rev up. Car lights cut through the thick fog. The crowd was gasping and murmuring in anticipation. The car revved a couple more times as it slowly started to roll out, the engine sound making Yuya uneasy. It sounded almost like an old adversary's call. The car rolled out slowly onto the pavement, out of the thick fog. It was a highly tuned, heavily modified Ford Focus ZX3 SVT, with various decals on it, including the Shifters Diners logo, the logo for Bunta's Tofu Shop, and some logos for 2 different garages, as well as several street racing groups. Yuya dropped his cigarette as he then recognized the driver, as did the crowd, which went wild as he stepped out of the car. It was Manuel Bernay.